The truth has arrived.
My name is Jonathan Gilliam, and this is The Experts. And welcome back from the road. I am somewhere outside of, I'm either in Indiana or Illinois already. I'm not sure, but I'm heading towards just outside of Chicago. Homer Glen is actually the area where I'll be in, but it's at the Cano Farm. That's where I'll be tomorrow for the GOP Jamboree. And it's going to be a great time. I hope if you're around, you can come out. You may have seen Ann Dorn, the RNC speaker. She was there talking about her husband. He was 77-year-old. You probably saw the video, unfortunately, of her husband, Captain Dorn, David Dorn, who on June 2nd was murdered during one of these riots, these quote-unquote peaceful protests in St. Louis. But I can't wait to meet her, and she's going to be there speaking. She gave an incredible presentation at the RNC convention. Also, FOP President John Catanzara, I hope I'm saying his name right, Catanzara, and then for entertainment, Milk and Cooks. I don't know if you know who Milk and Cooks is, but they will be there, and also, and I love the name Milk and Cooks, Bryson Gray. And I love his music. He's the one that sings the song, Donald Trump is your president, and just put it in the face of the whole rap soul community. And I love what he has to say. So he's going to be there as well. And I'll be emceeing the event. So if you're going to be there, anywhere around there, 5:30 to 10:30, come on down. And it's going to be, I think the weather is actually going to be pretty decent. They were calling for rain, but it looks like it's going to be pretty decent. And so that's where I'm heading right now. And of course, tonight was the debate. So I'm not going to have time to go through the whole debate. I'll tell you that right now. I will try, if I have time this weekend, to take some time out, or I'll do it on Monday when I get to Arkansas, because there are important things about what was said, even though I do believe these debates are worthless, because by and large, in the way the political arena is now, people only vote for who they, it's brainwashed to the left. They're not going to vote for Donald Trump. If they didn't vote for him last year, in the last election 4 years ago, they're probably not going to vote for him now, especially in this day and age where people are just, listen, you want to talk about demonically possessed? I keep bringing this up every show. I'm trying to just pump this into you so you understand it. There's a story out that is probably one of the most disturbing stories I have seen in a long time, and I had it up here. Let me see if I can pull it back up here. Apparently, oh yes, here it is. Apparently, this was in Oklahoma. Two guys who, this isn't a one-off. This isn't like they did this once. All right. Bobby Lee Allen, man, you can't get any more Oklahoma than that. Bobby Lee Allen and Thomas Evan Gates. Bobby Lee is 53 and Thomas Evans Gates is 42. Both from Worcester, Oklahoma. They were arrested for medical battery, aggravated maiming, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon resulting in bodily injury. Now, what were they doing? Some weirdo found them on the internet, right? Get this. It wasn't like they just grabbed a dude and did this. Some guy found them on the internet somehow and went all the way to Oklahoma from somewhere else so that they could cut his testicles off. And these guys, from what I'm reading in the story, are not doctors, and but they've done this numerous times. And apparently, the guy was 28 years old, said he had traveled to Oklahoma from Virginia to willingly participate in the dismemberment. And he said right after his surgery, Alan, that would be the older gentleman, maybe I should just say guy, not gentleman, Bobby Lee Allen, said that he was going to eat his testicles because he is a cannibal. Okay. Wow. So this actually occurred, and as it turns out, they have done this before. And so there's your example of demonic possession. Look, this is not what I'm talking about when I am discussing the leftists and these, the controlled chaos and the levels of authority within these demons and the way they work. Not just on the left, in politics in general, and in chaos in the world. One thing I was talking to somebody today, very interesting, is that when we look at the reality of this demonic influence in the world, let's just look at the world in general. When there are different things occurring like communism, Hitler, Stalin, Mao, have you noticed that there's not too many of these people at one time in power, right? There's going to be waves of them and waves of chaos, but it's not like the whole world comes down at one point and there's massive amounts of these psychopaths at the top of these countries because they don't have enough people underneath them to do the crazy stuff that they need. By and large, what I think is occurring is that there's just not enough of these demonic creatures in the earth, in the world. Remember, and I'm a Christian and I'm a believer, and I will get to the presidential debate here in just a minute, but there was a third of the angels were cast out of heaven. They're fallen angels. It wasn't an infinite number, and to my knowledge, I haven't seen it in the Bible anywhere. They can't breed. So it is this number, whatever this number may be, and which also explains why all the corrupt world leaders that are, very corrupt, that are that are crazy and psychopathic and megalomaniacs, they want to quickly kill as many people as possible. We're talking in the millions. Communism itself is responsible for over 150 million deaths in history. This is probably one of the reasons. They want to lower the population of the world so that they can control more people and have more influence. Remember, the more people that there are in the world, the less influence they have. This is just my take on thinking about this after I had a good conversation with somebody today. The other thing about this is that the controlled chaos that I've talked about, and the way it seems like the Democrat Party, and this is not just one or two people in the Democrat Party, like many of their platforms talks about, and the same thing with China, stopping the lowering the population level. They say it's out of control. Look at how the Democrat Party supports abortion to the point when you look at the number just in the United States, 63 million souls that have been stopped from coming into this world. 63 million just in the United States. Overall, worldwide, they estimate, there's no real way to know this, but they estimate over 1 billion souls have been kept from coming into this world through abortion. That should make you pause for a minute, because when you put that along with communism and all these other megalomaniacs that have existed, one here, a little bit of time, another one over there, we're talking about billions of people that have been eliminated at one point or another because of leftist, demonic types of influence or possession in world leaders and judges and people who pass these weird kind of laws. Some of you may think I sound like a fruitcake when I'm saying this, but listen, after I was having this conversation today, I sat back as I'm driving down the road, and it really started to dawn on me that, one, leftists want to lower the population of this world. Eugenics was a leftist Democrat type of thing. The Supreme Court agreed with eugenics for a while. So they want to lower the population. That correlates with what a demonic influence would want, a lower population, so that they can control more people and have more influence. And there's not an infinite number of these demonic creatures, so that they have to put all their forces to make real differences in one place or another. That's why Silicon Valley is so important to the left and to these demonic influences, I believe, because they can control more people. It's becoming less important to get rid of people and more important to force technology into their lives so that they can control everything that they do. I mean, the young generation is gone. They are completely controlled by the phones, the glare of the phones. It's like you put up one of those electrical lights to kill bugs, and they're just drawn to that light. That's what's happened to these phones, and they're just simply controlled by it, and the influence that comes through it. So anyway, not sure. I don't remember how I got on this subject, but so I don't have a lot of time. I can't spend too much time on the presidential debate, but there was one important thing. After I was listening to I listened to the whole debate, and it was actually tolerable. But again, nobody changed. This side believes in that, this side believes in this. They're not going to change because of this. But I thought the president came out spectacular. I thought that he was very calm. I think there's a couple of times he could have jabbed extremely hard and hit people like Cuomo and all these other Democrat governors that have killed so many people because of their terrible, terrible executive orders. And really, he could have blamed. I would love to have seen him hammer some of the Republicans in these states and point out the fact that these states are so dangerous that you need a powerful president to keep these governors at bay now. That's the truth. And I would love to have seen him slam them because, like in New York, for instance, the governors, the governor was given his power for a year to overstep the legislature, and it was a unanimous vote. Republicans voted to give it to him. They said it was because of PPE, and they were afraid they weren't getting it. I mean, it's just nonsense. Nonsense. Democrats would never have done that if it was the other way around. Much more organized. So I picked out, just something that I wanted to show you. By the way, Drudge Report, I've always used them as the litmus test of the left. They say the last calmer, no knockouts. Talking about about this debate, there were some big knockouts, primarily Joe Biden knocking himself out. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I hope this inspires you to sit down and listen to it because Joe Biden is an absolute liar. I think these debates, more than anything he's ever done, is showing how much of a liar and how much the left buys into these lies. Now, I want you to listen to, make sure I'm pulling these up in order. Okay, this is NBC. Okay, now, this is 4 minutes of these sound bites, mostly Joe Biden, and I'm going to show you how much this is taken out of context. Very quick, all right? So listen to this.
His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true.
Okay, that is one soundbite, right? And then it goes on to another thing. But this is the reality of that same soundbite in all of its integrity. This is the entire soundbite. Listen to this.
The point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me. I don't understand why this president is unwilling to take on Putin.
Okay. wow, there's a huge difference in those two sound bites. And you notice that NBC picked the one part out of that soundbite that they could put in there, where he talks about Rudy Giuliani. But the reality is, just a couple days ago, the FBI came out and said in a public presser on television that Russia and China were targeting the election on behalf of Joe Biden because they wanted Joe Biden to get elected. But yet, see, he comes out and he spews these lies. Nothing is true. And quite frankly, none of it makes sense except for the fact, let me replay this, what he says about himself.
I know them and they know me.
There you go. That's the one time he tells the truth. Yes, they know him because they've done business with him. China's done business with him. He goes on and he says in here that he has never taken a penny. He said this twice. He's never taken a penny from any foreign country. He says that. Now, meanwhile, his son, and this is according to his son, right? And there was another press conference today that was huge. I'm going to have to do a show on this stuff because there was another press conference by the guy who was Hunter Biden's business partner, who is saying he's going to go to the FBI tomorrow. He's got 3 cell phones. And he's saying that Hunter Biden, basically what happened was they set up a company, met with Joe Biden. Everything was to get into China, and so that their companies could start. This company could start making money off of real estate and different investments from China. Joe Biden met with them. They discussed it. He says he has the text messages, everything. But this is what led so much credibility to what this guy said today, is that he got concerned because he saw that Hunter Biden was starting to use the company as his own ATM. Listen, having done crisis management and having arrested and locked up numerous drug addicts and doing crisis management for, my first client out of the FBI was worth hundreds of millions of dollars at one point, but he was a drug addict and he was a doctor, and he spent all his money, bankrupted his company, and he and other people that he hired used his company as an ATM. So did the people that we brought in, General Grange. I don't know if you know, used to be head of the Rangers and Delta Force, David Grange, who you might see on CNN every once in a while. Total, I've had this experience with these generals, total buffoon when it comes to business and corrupt as they come. So this is what criminals do. This is what drug addicts do, is they'll get into a company and they'll use it as their own ATM. So when that guy said this today, it made perfect sense to me. The point being, Joe Biden doesn't think taking money from his son or doing business deals through his son in China or Russia or Ukraine does not count on him making a dime or being given a dime from one of these countries. But that's not exactly the case. When you use your official position to gain personally, whether it's to get yourself something or get something that somebody that is a relative, a job, for instance, you are gaining monetarily. It's not just about a measurable dime that you're getting. We're talking to the tune of millions and millions of dollars, and that isn't even close. That isn't even close to what Hunter Biden made and what Joe Biden made. And I don't know if it'll ever come out, because the reality is the way that the left owns everything. They own the entire government. The government, and where the left doesn't own it, the right is completely spineless, and they don't do anything about it. The Republican Party is worthless when it comes to fighting Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and the leftists in government. Here's another example. Today, they released Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony from her. I think it was from her first testimony that she gave, and they redacted the names of the individuals involved. Remember, a lot of these people, most of them are liberals, and they were very prominent politicians, attorneys, so on and so forth. They redacted their names, but did not redact the names of the underage girls who were raped by these guys. What? This is the corruption of the left. This is what happens. I pulled this other soundbite up. Let me hear this. I don't know what this was.
My son has not made money.
Oh, here it is.
In terms of this thing about, what are you talking about? China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and
again, this is the NBC soundbite. So you're not going to hear any Donald Trump responses at all. Here's another soundbite that I pulled up.
But we don't have to worry about it because they terminated it, so we don't have to worry about it.
Let's move on to the next
and you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay, first of all, let me just say this about this whole nonsense. Okay, there were two other things that I really want to point out before this soundbite comes up that mysteriously I pulled up for some reason. One, these 500-something kids, they don't know who brought these children over. There's no international driver's license or identification that people show up with at the border that American Border Patrol agents can say, oh, yeah, we know who this person is. They got this ID right here. There is no ID like that. A lot of these people that show up with children that are not theirs. Okay, it's not their children. We have no way of proving whose children they are. And they'll show up with them, and then they will disappear once they get over the border. Sometimes they bring children over for somebody else that's already over. Regardless, even if it is their children, just like in the United States, if you're an American citizen, the cops show up and you do something illegal and there's children there, they're going to separate those children from you until they figure it out. In the cases of the border, when they separate these people, yes, coming over the border is illegal, and if you do it twice, it's a felony. I don't know why it's not a felony the first time, but when these people are coming over and they're committing a crime, listen, these people are not seeking asylum. All the trolls on Twitter were trying to go off and say, oh, you're so heartless, these people are seeking asylum. Well, people who seek asylum legally are not in this case. Their kids are still with them. But in this instance, these are people trying to get into the country illegally. They're separated from their children, and many of those people never come back to get the children. So this is not Donald Trump's fault. Besides the fact that these cages that they put these people in, those were created by the Obama administration. Of course, Joe Biden wouldn't admit that today, but that's the truth. So it's not like they're ripping children out and put them in some cage with bread and water. They're separated from their parents. They're kept in a big room where they have different, I would say, fenced off. It looks like fencing, where they're in there and they're treated. They're not treated inhumanely. They're not treated bad. But the fact is, these are kids that are being brought over by people that they have no way identifying if they're their parents. And a lot of times, if the person gets through that's with them, they never come back. The other thing, I don't know if this is a soundbite or not. Let me see.
Let's talk about our next section, which is race in America.
There you go.
And I want to talk about the way Black and brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin.
Now, of course, the example that she's going to give is a talk that every parent should have with their child, which is when you get pulled over by police. But listen to this.
Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
I do.
He doesn't know anything. And first of all, the Democrats will take anything that they can and turn it into a racial thing. Look, they are feminists when feminism is something they can use. But as they've shown, if there's something else that is of their concern, they don't care if a woman is being raped or if, Bill Clinton was the one raping these girls on Epstein's Island. They're not going to worry about that. Or let's say that, Supreme Court justice is being nominated as a female. They don't care about that because they'll rally against the fact that she's a conservative person or a Christian. But they will use the black-ish color issue, color of somebody's skin. They will use that because it benefits them getting votes. This whole nonsense about what they're talking about, the talk, is something that should happen in every family. It should be taught in school. When you get pulled over, you act a certain way in order to put the police at ease so that you don't get shot. You know, don't reach for your glove box when a cop. Don't sit there with your hands in your lap, and when the cop comes up, just jump over and lunge or reach for your glove box. Your cop's not going to know what's happening, and you may get shot. But this is a talk that everyone needs to have. But here, just listen to what he says.
You know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. She has her graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know,
when he brags, it is he tries to do it in a way that it sounds like he's just being cool, just saying this, you know, just saying it, not bragging. He's such a braggart. He will use anything. If his mom, I'm assuming she's not alive anymore, he could brag about her death in order to get points with people. I'm sure he would brag about it, and he'd tell me talk like this, and he'd make it sound like, yeah, I'm just talking to you one-on-one about it. The guy is literally, well, I can't say he's the worst, because Cuomo is really I do believe Cuomo is worse than the leaders of China and Russia. I think he's that big of a megalomaniac. The guy is a fruitcake. He's just not a global leader, but he is a state leader who's killed thousands of people. But Joe Biden's pretty bad. But listen to this.
one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. What I did.
No, you didn't do that so that you could learn more about what's going on. You did it because it was a political move, you freaking liar.
I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts, for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box.
So he never had to tell his daughter that because she's white. Trust me, folks, I've been a law enforcement officer on many different levels, and I've pulled people over, and it's an unnerving thing when you're walking up to that car. You do not know what's going to happen. Cops have been killed by white women, black women, white men, black men. They've been killed by underage people, boys, girls, whatever. They've been killed by in traffic stops is the most deadly thing that a cop can do. So Joe Biden's saying that he never had to have that talk with her. Well, then he's a fool.
Because someone may shoot you. But a black parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child, when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street.
So he just transitioned from the inside of a car to now walking down the sidewalk. Again, I think his son Hunter shows when you have a hoodie on. Hoodie, people don't know what you're, if it's cold outside, that's one thing. But if you're just walking down a sidewalk and you're looking like you're up to something, you're wearing a hoodie, that hoodie, I tell you what it does. It's like an amplifier for you're not up to something good when you're not up to something good. Sorry. Same thing with a ski mask. If you walk into a bank, it is what it is. It's fashion sense. Bad people wear hoodies to do bad things. So when you walk down the street with a hoodie on, whether you're black or white, and you're looking around like you're up to something, even if you're not, having a hoodie up will add a bit of a perception to somebody that's thinking that you're up to something. Same thing with the ski mask. Idiots.
Making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, sir, no, sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making child of a $300,000 a year person or someone who's on food stamps.
So he's saying that you're a victim regardless. Not just that it doesn't matter if your parents are rich. He's just saying you're a victim regardless. So now you're a victim just because you're black, according to Joe. You're just a victim. Sorry, you were born black, you're a victim, according to Joe Biden. And the statements he makes no sense whatsoever. It goes on and on. He called the Proud Boys the poor boys. And you look in his eyes. I've seen this look before. My dog Rico, who everybody knew him, he was the mascot of my show, The Experts. It was on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And he passed away in 2018 at 18 years old. When he got around 17, he started to have the same look that Joe Biden has. I keep waiting for Joe Biden to go back and get caught in a corner where he can't get out of it, because that's what happens. If anybody who's had an old dog will tell you, they'll do circles, they'll get stuck in corners, they just have a hard time. Once they get old, their brain doesn't work quite as well. Joe Biden has the same look, and I will say he's got the blackest eyes I have seen on anybody who was not a serial killer. Sorry, I said it, and I feel that that's the truth. All right, I'm going to have to wrap it up there because I've got to get some sleep, get back on the road, finish my trip tomorrow. You know, after watching the presidential debate today, it was a better debate. I will give you that. It was a better debate. You did get to understand what they were saying. They gave full answers. But let's not stretch this into something that it was not. The president, Donald Trump, answered his questions. Joe Biden, I don't know what those were, but they weren't answers. The man lies constantly. Remember, he said he's never taken a dime from any foreign nation. We'll see about that. We'll see. I'm Jonathan Gilliam. This is The Experts. The truth has arrived. Peace, and I'm out of here.